Congrats on your victory. Can you give us some thoughts on your performance? Sure, I knew that it was going to be tougher than usual after a year off. I was kind of fortunate this opponent was punching really wide and was slow. It allowed me to get away with some mistakes that I would not have gotten away with against highly ranked opponents, but it was a great opportunity for me to get my feet back wet and get back into the ring after such a long layoff. How would you grade your performance? You know, when you walk away with a win it's hard to not be satisfied, but I definitely wouldn't give myself anything above AC. I decisively won the fight and I never walked back to the corner feeling like I was in any trouble, but it's frustrating because I know I can do better. Everything was just a little slow. The MMA requires you to punch once or twice and get out and not to stand and exchange in the pocket for too long. It requires a lot of standing up tall. It was just a big adjustment to get back into boxing. GL, would you say that the year off is the reason you looked rusty, and letting your hands go more is the main thing you do differently? Heather Hardy, for sure. Had I put some more combinations together when she was in the pocket and not put so much focus on moving around, I think I would have been able to be a lot more effective and control the pace of the fight. That's what was more bothersome to me, was the intuition to punch once or twice and get out, which is something I haven't done in 20 pro fights, but it's the MMA habits rubbing off. During the last year of MMA training I was being taught to forget about most of the things I learned in boxing because they don't translate well in the cage. It's just a matter of finding the right balance if I'm going to be doing both. GL, after the year off, how important is it that you get right back in the ring quickly? HH, I would really like to get back in there soon, and I know my management is going to talk to Lou DiBella and talk to Bellator and see what comes up next. I know that if a world title shot is going to be something that's in the conversation, then I'm going to have to box once or twice before. GL, what did you think about the crowd's reaction to your victory? HH, I think coming off the MMA and knowing that the fans aren't really looking for you to move, they want to see you stand and trade. I got more applause getting carried out of the ring on a stretcher with a broken nose than I did for half my wins. One thing I've learned in boxing is the fans aren't in there with you, and some of my greatest victories didn't come from the loudest applause, but the performance I have in the ring. GL, is it counterproductive for you to be training for both boxing and the MMA at the same time? HH, yes. It's hard. Like all of the things I should do in boxing are things I shouldn't do in MMA. People think they're closer together than they really are because you use your fists in both sports, but that's like saying golf and football are the same because they both use balls. GL, what would it take for you to not get in the cage again? HH, money, laughs. I'm a paper chaser. I've got a 13-year-old and I'm trying to make a better life for my family and my kids. If boxing treated me well I would have never went anywhere else in the first place. I make double what I make in MMA fights than I do in the boxing ring, mostly because I'm fighting on TV and I'm able to get good sponsors, which are very difficult to come by in boxing unless you're fighting on TV. GL, if you had it your way, what would be next? What's the Heather Hardy blueprint? HH, it's hard to say, Greg. I would love to say I'm definitely getting back into the ring next, but everything is about timing. I have to look at schedules and see when the next show is. In the last year there hasn't been any boxing for me, it's just a lot of MMA action. I have to see what's next and I want to get back in there as soon as I can. GL, closing thoughts for the fans. HH, I want to say thank you guys, you've supported me through my wins, losses and everything. Stay tuned into my social media because we're going to have some news coming out soon.